Yes, I'm the person who had the only income at 402 May Circle, Warrior, Alabama, when I moved in the apartment in the year of 2004 in the month of May. And somebody said that two children was born while I was there. Yeah, somebody claimed being 18, and I didn't need them for getting a lease because being 18 years old is not old enough for getting a lease. And somebody mentioned something about Section 8 and food stamps and stuff. And my household does not believe in using Section 8 vouchers. I never used any Section 8 vouchers and stuff like that. And somebody said something about getting a food stamp card or EBT card since, being married and having children and stuff like that. So I got an EBT card and a food stamp card, for being married and having a child and paying my own rent, not using Section 8 and stuff like that. And I never added more than one child to the food stamp account, even though they said I have more than one child. And I wouldn't want to look like one of those people who was having children just to get Section 8 vouchers and stuff like that. That's why I never used any Section 8 vouchers and I never signed a lease using any kind of Section 8 voucher. And I wouldn't want to look like one of those people who was having a bunch of children just to get food stamps and stuff like that. That's why I never added more than one child to the food stamp account and stuff like that. So, like information about my household, with me being head of household, if somebody doesn't match the character of my household and, the stuff that's in this video and stuff like that, then it is not a member of my household and it is not a member of my marriage because the character does not match, if they was practicing other ways, like of what I just said I don't do. Because I was the only one with an income in my household when they told me I had a child born in 2008. And there's evidence in the family court of all of this. And I was the only one with an income, when I moved into the apartments at 402 May Circle, Warrior, Alabama, as the head of my household. I was the only one with an income, in those apartments where they say a child was born in 2004 and 2006. When I moved into those apartments in 2004, being my household, my first apartment, and I didn't need anyone's identification other than my own, and my payee was older than the age of 21. So the 18-year-old pregnant person and the child and stuff, I didn't need their ID in order to get a place to stay because I always had a place to stay. All the time, ever since I was going to family court, I was never homeless at a family court date. I always had a place to stay and stuff like that. So, being the type of person with the character of saving my virginity for the sake of being married to one spouse only ever in life, you know, is the way it goes in my household and stuff like that. Is that, if a person is not in love with my character of being the type of person who saved my virginity, being my going all the way sex for the purpose of being married to one spouse only ever in life, then it is not a member of my household and it is not a member of my marriage. Because since I am the head of household and have been for all of these years, yeah, if a person wasn't in love with the character of me saving my virginity for the sake of being married to one spouse only ever in life, then it's definitely not a member of my household and it's definitely not a member or party of my marriage or, that stuff like that. And I would know because, since it's my household and my marriage, I would know, of course. So, I'm the one talking in the video, you know, a brand, a brand, you know, the one who saved my virginity, my going all the way six, my virginity for the purpose of being married to one spouse only ever in life, stuff like that. So, this is video evidence, for my household, you know, And because some people be saying that the videos be fake and stuff like that, but they like, man, they got all of that information and all the evidence in the family court, about how I was the only one with a source of income when I moved into those apartments at 402 May Circle, Warrior, Alabama, where they said two children was born, one in 2004 and one in 2006, and I was the only one with a source of income in the month of October of 2008 when they said a child was born. And there's family court evidence of those dates. I was the only one, um, with the character, of saving my virginity for the purpose of being married to one spouse only in my generation, in the area where I grew up in. So this is no offense to any of the other people or any of the other groups or any of the other religions or spiritualities and stuff like that. Because it was some people who wanted y'all being mad at me. I'm not dissing any of you or any of that stuff. You're not supposed to be offended at any of the stuff. It's just me talking about the character of my household and the character of my marriage because I have been a victim of identity theft and fraud. And so the character does not match the character of my household according to the family court records and according to what being married is in my household for a female does not believe in voluntarily making herself into a single mom or a single mother because when you voluntarily make yourself into a single mom, it's your body and your choice. Or if you voluntarily made yourself into a single mother, it's your body and your choice of you making yourself into a single mom or making yourself into a single mother. You know, from you voluntarily getting pregnant and voluntarily making a pregnancy, as the mom or the mother or whatever it's called, it has no effect with me because I never voluntarily made anyone into a single mom and I never voluntarily made anyone into a single mother, stuff like that. And that's why I don't use Section 8 vouchers and stuff like that because those places were provided by the government for single moms and for single mothers, is the way people explain those types of households being for single moms and for single mothers. And since I always, as the head of household, paid my own rent, and I always had a place to stay, whenever there was a family court date, there's evidence of always being a place. It was like, yeah, the character doesn't match. They don't know who those people are who voluntarily wanted to make themselves into single moms or single mothers and stuff because, the family court has evidence that, my household does not believe in divorce unless it was a grown person having voluntary sex with a child or unless, it was a person who made somebody pregnant voluntarily, and was supposed to be married and went outside of the marriage and voluntarily made a pregnancy, whether it was a female voluntarily making a pregnancy and got pregnant, or whether it was a male voluntarily, going outside of the marriage and getting somebody pregnant, making a pregnancy, whether it was a male or female, So, the character does not really match the character of my household, when those other people was, doing the identity theft and fraud and stuff like that. And so, that's why, I am here and being here, myself, you know, if the character does not match the character of my household, then I told them people, you cannot be in here. Yeah, because since I'm the type of person who saved my virginity, being my voluntary going all the way six for the purpose of being married to one spouse only ever in life, and if a person is not in love with the character of me saving my voluntary sex, being my virginity for the purpose of being married to one spouse only ever in life, then it is not a member of my marriage and it is not a member of my household because the character does not match, because a long time ago, it was already arranged, in those situations where, my household does not believe in, making people into single parents or single moms or single mothers or single parents at all, Our household does not play with pregnancy and single parents or whatever, like making single parents and stuff like that. And so, um, the girl who was with me was like, yeah, she would never want to be a single parent, and she would never want to, you know, make a single parent household is something that she would never want to do and stuff like that. So, a different person seemed to have been doing some kind of identity theft and fraud and stuff because somebody had showed up wanting to be a single parent and wanting a single parent household, and I was like, no, you gotta go. You seem like a different person because the character does not match the character of my marriage household. So this is not a diss. This is not disrespect to anyone who does believe in making single parents households and stuff like that. You know, it means my household does not believe in making single parents or making single parent households. I'm not part of those ways of making pregnancies in households and families and stuff like that. So, once again, it's not disrespect to them and it's not disrespecting them. It's me explaining the character of my household and my marriage because I have been a victim of identity theft and fraud and somebody tried false claiming being part of my marriage household. So since you know that it is not a diss or it's not any disrespect, explaining my household and the character of my household and the character of my marriage, they say, there's nothing they can do. There's nothing anyone could do. It was like, I'm always gonna be a person who saved my virginity for the sake of being married to one spouse only ever in life. It's nothing anyone can do about it. And I'm always gonna be the type of person who never made a girl into a single mom. There's nothing anyone can do about it. I'm always gonna be the type of person who never filed for a divorce. There's nothing anyone can do about it. I'm always gonna be the type of person, who, never was a grown person having sex with a child and never was a child having sex with a grown person. What they call voluntary sex, that type of stuff. So, a person was using the names that my marriage license certificate says, and a lot of people say, it really doesn't make sense. If a person was claiming, having voluntary sex with all of a bunch of different people and stuff like that, it only makes them look bad for doing it because I'm still a person who saved all of my voluntary sex and virginity for the purpose of being married to one spouse only ever in life. And with my leg all messed up and being, using a wheelchair and stuff like that, and being physically disabled and having, leg problems and stuff like that, and having a marriage license certificate for April 30th, 2004, before any children were born who was said being my children, it doesn't make me look bad if someone else was using those names and those identities, having voluntary going all the way sex or making pregnancies or wanting to be a single parent. It just makes them look bad, their character of doing identity theft, whatever it is those people were doing, since I wasn't doing any of it at all. And so, I am still here. Hi, family. Hi, everyone. I saved all of my voluntary going all the way six for the purpose of being married to one spouse only ever in life. And so, I'm not part of whatever that other stuff is that those identity thieves or the identity theft people were doing, whether it was with their sex or their pregnancy or their household and stuff like that. It does not match the character of my household and it does not match the character of my marriage. So I told and I made police reports and there's evidence. So if you are part of any kind of church or any kind of religion or any kind of spirituality or any kind of group or organization, whether public or private, I am not starting any fights or violence against you. It was people who wanted everyone being mad at me for something that I said or did on the internet and wanted people being mad at me. Don't fall for it. It's just them targeting a person on disability, and wanting you getting in trouble for doing bad stuff to me, because I made videos and told on people who were abusing children, and I made videos and told on people who were sex offenders, and some of those people claimed being members of churches and groups and organizations and stuff, and got mad at me for caring about the victims of child abuse, sex crimes, and stuff like that. So don't fall for their tricks of targeting me or bullying me because, it's all it is. Bullying is what they say it is. Bullying. And being bullied ever since the age of 5 years old, you know, I never was the type of going back, starting fights with bullies or people from the past, you know, when it's easy just walking away and moving on with your life, you know. Which is why, being born in Alabama and moving on to Georgia, with a marriage license certificate, you know, from the date of April 30th, 2004, is evidence of moving on from the bullies in the past and going to Georgia, you know. I never group attacked anyone or assembled a group for attacking bullies or people who had bullied me. So, there's no reason for being mad at me. And if you are a grown person who is having sex with a child and I told on you, I was telling the truth. And if you are a child who was having sex with a grown person and I told on you, I was telling the truth. Because my household believes in telling the truth. So it's not my fault if you get in trouble for being a grown person who is having sex with a child or being in that kind of relationship with a person who is a grown person that was having sex with a child. And it's not my fault if you get in trouble for being a child who was having sex with a grown person, or you get in trouble for being in that kind of relationship of being a child who is having sex with a grown person. It's not my fault who you claim to love and be attracted to. If you are voluntarily, physically having sex of going all the way, if you are voluntarily making pregnancy, stuff like that, with a grown person who is having sex with a child, or with a child who is having sex with a grown person, and if you are not complaining about the situation with them and to everyone about it, then it's not my fault for the personal choices of others, love and attraction, or whatever it's called, because, me personally, I said that, I don't want to be attached to a grown person who is having sex with a child, and I don't want to be attached to a child who is having sex with a grown person, because it might have the spirit of a grown person having sex with a child, or it might have the spirit of a child having sex with a grown person, and I don't like those bad spirits. I wouldn't want to get in trouble for the sex somebody else had. I wouldn't want to get in trouble for what somebody else's private parts did. So this is personal information of my household, with me, you know, being the head of household. And this is evidence of my thoughts being a witness of what I think and what I feel inside of my household. This is evidence of my thoughts and, what I believe. And it is not a diss or a message to anyone outside of my household. So there's no reason for reading into it. So, they say saying what I think is not a crime and not against the law, and saying what I feel is not a crime and is not against the law. For me, making a video about what I think and about what I feel personally, being a member of my household, you know, is evidence of my character, of what I think and what I feel, personally. So this is a personal message to me because, I forget a lot. And so I might need this evidence for family court.